Phase of curiosity, birthing the idea. The idea of the Hurried Child Project in Africa was conceived out of curiosity. The experiences around parenting and family life expanded the thoughts concerning practices that are prevalent in African society. A subconscious one being hurrying practices in rearing children. Beyond the home environment, it was observed that hurrying practices were gradually becoming the norm in the school system, especially private school environments, a situation that fueled the curiosity as to why these practices were commonly displayed by the primary agents of socialization, the home and the family. A seminal book, written by Dr. David Elkind, titled The Hurried Child, was stumbled upon. Reading through the lines of this book gave a clearer perspective on the conceptualization of the various actions and behaviors observed in the earlier years. Consequent to findings in the book, authored by Dr. David Elkind, a move was made to properly investigate the practices of hurrying among the middle class as conceptualized in his book. This move led to a preliminary interview conducted with key informant interviews in the education sector, purposefully conducted in countries in Africa, Nigeria and Kenya. Other parts of Africa were not willing to hold interviews. Our initial findings revealed that all the countries had common experiences, but some had initiated proactive measures to curb the practices associated with hurrying children through childhood. Realizing that the hurrying practices were a global phenomenon, the need to institutionalize the process of fighting against the menace rose, and the zeal to carry on in this path was galvanized, and a mother's love initiative was born. Phase of passion, galvanizing the idea. AMLi is properly registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission and documented with relevant ministries and agencies at state and national levels related to child development and family well-being. SCMUL, Ministries of Education, Youth and Sports Development, Women Development in Lagos State and at the federal level. Further research into the problem led to a broader discovery which captured the enormity and multifarious nature of the problem. This discovery was the Hurried Child Syndrome, which by the simplest definition refers to any activity of a parent, caregiver, school system or community that predisposes a child to stresses in their formative years, thereby making them grow into miniature adults lacking in socio-emotional well-being. In the areas of advocacy, due to the wake of COVID-19, we started by exploring the use of social media for education and sensitization purposes, with a key focus on parenting, childhood development, quality of school life and family well-being. We engaged professionals relevant to childhood development and limited our scope to family and school systems. Our media team also conducted interviews with parents, teachers and school owners to gain more insight into the severity of the problem in Nigeria. We had a pidgin version tagged "Children Are the Future" and "Kurukuru Truth." Based on the feedback from our engagement and directions given by our board of experts, we ranked the priority areas of need and came to the realization that fathers played a pivotal role in controlling the syndrome despite being neglected and uncared for by the society. These lines of thought gave birth to the Committing to Fatherhood program, a media advocacy intervention geared towards improving the mental wellness of fathers by giving them a platform to express their emotions and celebrate their sacrifices. Beyond glamorizing fathers was to re-educate them on their roles as fathers and father figures in preventing the spread of the Hurried Child Syndrome. This modular intervention strategy was amplified by the men of the press, and publications were made in both traditional and online platforms to extend the advocacy to the Nigerian public. This successful event gave rise to strategies in the subsequent month. Phase of impact, repositioning the idea. As the AMLi team increased its engagement with the public, they realized that the framework for the intervention was beyond the family and the school systems. For a holistic intervention, both state and non-state actors at the community, state, national and international levels had to be involved. However, the challenge of funding began to affect the decisions of the team. For a sustainable long-term strategy, we saw the need to make a formal statement on the project and launched the Hurried Child Project on the 19th of November 2019 to mark the World Day of the Prevention of Child Abuse at the Proti Kuramu Hotel, Victoria Island, Lagos State. The event was graced by notable figures across the entertainment, education, business, media and corporate sectors. And the impact of the launch was an impetus for the future of AMLi and the Hurried Child Project, an African perspective. In 2021, the A Mother's Love Initiative team conducted quantitative research using an online cross-sectional survey to examine the attitudes and practices of 436 Nigerian parents towards hurrying their children in the home, school, and society. The survey was filled across 21 states with representations across the 6 geopolitical zones of the 36 states in Nigeria, including the diaspora. About 62.8% of the respondents were from Lagos State, followed by Abuja, 9.6%, Oyo, 6.2%, and the rest shared amongst the remaining 18 states. The outcomes of the survey reinforced the existing evidence of the hurried child syndrome in Nigerian families, school systems and society, and implications were drawn for further research, practice and policy development. From the year 2020 till this day, a Mother's Love Initiative team have implemented 2 editions of the Committing to Fatherhood program, the Boy-Child Sensitization program, the Committing to Motherhood program, and the Girl-Child program. In the areas of strategic thrust, the organizational strategy makes us unique as we base our engagement on research, advocacy, and psychosocial support in the ratio of 30-50-20. We ensure that our advocacy and interventions are evidence-based. AMLi has a strong financial management and internal control system and audit for the past 6 years and runs a lean system of operations, making it financially sustainable till the present. AMLi has been working tirelessly and is open to collaboration and partnerships with government agencies, private organizations, local and international NGOs in common interest areas. Looking at our impact in numbers, from the facility-based perspective, AMLi has reached 3,455 children, 530 families and 15 private schools. From the community-based perspective, AMLi has implemented 35 special interventions, reached 20 families and engaged 1 community. Our plans for the future: sustaining the impact. Without that, we have barely touched the tip of the iceberg and cannot single-handedly help the African child get the best of now and her future. This forms the premise for our gathering here today. We're interested in learning more from everyone interested in the subject matter and ready to form sustainable alliances that will not only reduce the hurried child syndrome in Nigeria and Africa, but also serve as a model for adoption across the world. Thank you for listening. To God and to humanity.